What are we talking about?
Stuff and things. I've got questions.
Okay, let's go.
Stuff and things.
Things and stuff.
Stuff and things.
Okay, professional face.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and this is kind of a throwback to the old Moar Winters series, I suppose.
Yeah, we haven't done one of these for ages.
No, well we have, but they're now called DZHQ, and they go on deploymentzone.tv. So if you want to see, we've got two on there already, one we've just filmed. So you want to see more of these. I say
we haven't done one for ages, we just did one.
Yeah, literally. But what we're doing is we're releasing them monthly now. Every single month they're going up on deploymentzone.tv. So feel free to go check that one out. I'll link it in the video description below.
And you said, while we're talking away, shall we keep talking? And I went, yeah, cool, let's keep talking.
Why not? It's easy. Yeah. So I asked him if we could do another one for Warhammer because I want to keep giving you guys content. And I did speak to the Warhammer patrons recently, and they said, actually, less battle reports on Warhammer because we've got DZ for that. Just do more of your sit and talk stuff. So here we are. This is exactly what we're doing. We are giving the fans what they want. Fans. I say fans.
You've got fans.
I wouldn't call them that.
I'm your biggest fan.
So what I did this morning was we have a Patreon page at Warhammer still, and you've got your Patreon page for Winters SEO still. And we made a conscious decision to keep those separate for the YouTube channels, which is what we're doing. So I've still got patrons, and they are a wonderful bunch of people. We've got Discord, so feel free to check out Patreon. The link will be above and below. Follow that and support us if you want to. But I asked them this morning on Discord some questions. And last night or this morning? Either way, I asked them for some questions for us, and they've responded with some questions. So there's only a few here. We'll chuck them together, have a little bit of a chat, because I always go, I need more than 3 questions. We don't. We only need about 2, and that'll be an hour.
Yeah. And we won't answer that anyway.
And this big one's big as well. Which
is it? This
one's either going to be answered by you in 3 seconds, and you'll go, nope. Or do that, or it will go on for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
So Mike Phillips, absolute legend. He's been making scenery and stuff. We used it out in the garden before. Yeah. He's asked, now it's been a year of 8th edition, what's changed? How do you guys think...
Is what's changed a question?
Yeah, what's changed? Now it's been a year of 8th edition, what's changed? So from the beginning of 8th edition to now, what's changed?
Okay.
How do you guys think things have improved or not? And a general look back over the year. Actually, it's a good time to do this because it is about a year just over since 8th edition launched. Yeah. Because it's just over a year now since Warhammer was a thing.
Yeah. So what's changed? Everything.
Well, from 7th it has, but from 8th, not so much.
Games Workshop is the most successful UK company per share growth, and the second most successful growth of shares globally in the world. The second best shares growth company in the world, according to the Financial Times. People send me messages.
Oh, I thought you were going to be really intelligent and read the Financial Times yourself.
Is a copper mining company. Their share growth was like plus 140%. Games Workshop shares went up 170% in a year.
I think they've done an epic job.
So that tells you that 8th edition was a success. But then we've had Age of Sigmar and every single Codex and Shadespire and Necromunda and Kill Team and oh my god, it just keeps coming.
This is a discussion I had with people. As
the famous artist, poet Ronan Keaton once says, life is a roller coaster, just got to ride it.
Poet. So I've had the discussion.
A roller coaster.
I'm going to sidetrack slightly, like this is new to people. The release of the standalone box sets.
Yes.
And then alongside the release of 8th edition and codexes.
Yes.
Do you think they've done that right? So obviously they've done well. We know they've done well. You look at their share growth.
Depends what your definition of right is.
So I'm annoyed for certain people, i.e. Orc fans, Spacewolf fans, etc.
Someone had to be last though.
No, but I don't...
Someone had to
being last isn't a problem, right? So that isn't a massive drama. So 8th edition came out and everyone got an index. So everyone got rules.
Yes.
Okay. And then they started drop feeding the Codex, and out came the Space Marine decks and the Chaos Space Marine decks, and then
we said it before. We said it before. We'll say it again. I think after all the indexes dropped, there should have been a chunk of time, perhaps 6 months before any Codexes dropped.
So this is what I'm thinking.
They should have let us get into it a bit slower. But
Yeah.
clearly that wasn't their plan. That wasn't their intention all along. We can see now after a year what their intention was, which was here's 8th edition, here's the indexes to get you going, and boom, and the roller coaster kept on rolling.
But the problem I've got with it is, and this is one thing we did discuss with patrons
It
as
could
well.
have been a pause at the beginning.
And I agree, that pause would have helped. But they didn't do that, and they went straight to codexes.
Yes.
Fine, that's their prerogative, of course. But now we're finding that certain players, Orc players, like we say, Space Wolf players, and some other players as well, there's a few more that I'm thinking of, Yunari, etc.
Yeah.
They're still sat there waiting for codexes. And
Yeah.
it must be frustrating when in between we're getting Kill Team, we're getting Necromunda. Necromunda, for me, that is a mistake.
Yeah.
So Necromunda as a game, brilliant. Necromunda as a release, brilliant.
Necromunda was a mistake.
We've now got 4 gangs, and how long's it been out for?
Necromunda's been a mistake.
Why couldn't they start the 40k codex release, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do all the codexes.
Yeah.
And then go, right, you've all got 8th edition, you've all got an 8th edition codex. We've FAQ'd the lot. We've got the big FAQ that's going to come every year, or twice a year.
Yeah.
Now we'll go Necromunda. And then every 2 weeks or month, here's a new gang, here's a new gang, here's a new gang. Get 8 gangs out, so people have actually got stuff to play with.
Right.
And then take stock of what's going on with 8th, and do it that way.
Right.
So I think we'll do loads of codexes, and then we'll stop for a few weeks, and we'll just drop a Necromunda gang, and then we might do a codex or 2, and then we'll just stop and maybe drop Kill Team. And I'm like, this is a bit disjointed now. It's a bit all over the place. Do you not think?
Sure. Okay, but it's no.
What was that noise?
Here's 8th edition. Here's all the codexes. There's clearly a business mind behind. So you're a businessman. Let's say you're a businessman, and you've got a company that essentially is about selling toy soldiers.
Yeah, of course.
That's the core of their business, and everything else. The books are an addition. All the IP all the video games. This is all built off the fact that there's a game about toy soldiers.
Yeah.
And you want as many people as possible playing that game as possible. So you need entry-level stuff. So Necromunda, Shadespire, Kill Team, all these other ones are all the gateway drugs into the plastic crap
releasing something. So one of the things for me is...
from a business point of view, it clearly worked.
What they've done with Kill Team is a case in point of being excellent for me.
Right.
So they've dropped the Kill Team rules. There's already 2 or 3 or 4 boxes out there that you can buy, which have enough models for a Kill Team in, plus the rules, plus the cards, plus the scenery for 35, 40 quid.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And it's all coloured plastic. So like Shadespire, you could just build it, stick it on the tabletop, and your Kill Team and your opponent's Kill Team with 2 different colours. Amazing. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Necromunda. Here's Necromunda, giant game. You can't use 40k models in it.
Yeah.
Because it's not 40k, it's Necromunda. We're going to give you 2 gangs. That's it.
Yeah.
Then we're going to drop 1 more gang, maybe a month later, and then you're going to wait 3, 4, 5 months before we finally give you the 4th gang.
Yeah.
For me, that's weak. If people's entry in is Necromunda, and they
but
go, actually, I
these
don't want
games
40k.
have taken years before. So we see Necromunda launch, right? They started planning that 2 or 3 years ago. Started doing the artwork for it. That's the launch time for these games. That's how long they take. What you're doing.
Just moving the microphone.
And there was a fly there as well. And there's so it takes years, to release a new game. You can get some idea of how long games take to develop when it comes to Forge World. So Forge World let people know at the Forge World Open Days. Games Workshop are a lot closed. So we knew 2.5 years ago that Adeptus Titanicus was coming, and it's only just coming now. That's how long a game takes to develop. So Necromunda was in the pipeline a couple of years ago.
But they didn't have to drop it when they dropped
edition, what?
They didn't have to drop it when they dropped it. Just because it was in the pipeline 2 years ago, they could have waited, dropped it at a more convenient point with more gangs already developed, and instantly you've got more of a buy-in, because variety is the spice. People, if 40k dropped now, brand new 40k's out, there's 2 races, you wouldn't have the fan base that would flock to it, because you've got maybe Marines and Orcs and that's it. And the reason why 40k is popular is because you've got Yunari, you've got Drukhari, you've got Kraftworld Eldar, you've got Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Mechanic, blah 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 blah. There's something for everyone's taste and feel. Necromunda's 3 gangs, off you go. That's all you've got. Yeah. So I think they should have done that a bit differently. I think that maybe with the codex releases, the fact that we're over a year into 8th edition now, and there's still 3 or 4 factions that have no codex at all. Yeah. And they do have index rules, but when you look at how powerful a codex can be with stratagems and updates, because obviously when the codexes drop, we tend to find they fix a lot of things. They fix some of the rules, they fix some of the points costs. Like Wraith with Necron Codex went to 2 damage and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas before they were 1. Yeah. And they fix lots of little niggly things. So poor old codexes like Orcs.
But that's the thing. So Codex is a couple of years in the pipeline to release something, but books not so much. Books are all done, let's say, but they can tweak them before they send them off to the suppliers, the print thing. So you say poor orcs, poor Space Wars. Here's the thing. The Space Marine Codex and the the Space Marine Codex and the AdMech Codex were one of the first codexes to get released.
Yeah.
And look at the stratagems in there. Look at the chapter traits in there. Look at they're noticeably weaker than, for example, the Necrons and what's the other one that's springing into my brain? It's fallen out the other side of my brain. But Tyranids. You can see a difference between the codexes that came out right at the very start and the codexes that came out over 6 months later. They thought, oh, these stratagem things and people are really buying into this. But let's tweak it a little bit. So poor Orc players, poor Space Wolf players, but I'm sure that when it comes, it's going to sing.
It will. And then you've got poor Space Marine players.
Yeah.
Because instead of release the codexes in a shorter period of time, the end codex will be a lot nearer the first codex.
Codex creep has always been a thing.
But it will be nearer. It will be nearer. And then you could have had a big gap where you would have released things like Titanicus, things like Kill Team, things like Necromunda, and then you start because it will happen. You'll start the new codex drop again because they'll do it because that's how they make money. And at that point, there's been a big enough gap whereby you've not got an Orc player going, "I've got my new codex." Oh, great! Now the Marine player's got another new codex, and I'm still waiting until right at the end again. So I just think that that's just an opinion.
No, I think that something is going to change after all the codexes are coming out.
What do you mean?
Because they can't. So after all the codexes come out, Orc, Yunari, they're all done, right?
Yeah.
They're not. When you say the codex cycle release is going to happen again, they're not going to suddenly start cycling through another 20 codexes in 12 months. It's not going to restart. What's going to happen is we're going to see a new faction. We're going to see a push for an Age of Sigmar new faction, and then maybe in 6 months or 12 months' time, then we'll get a Space Marine. The codex release cycle will ease off, is what I'm saying, and they're going to probably. I think it's definitely going to ease off. We're going to see new factions. We're going to see new push for Age of Sigmar. We're going to see new narrative stuff like the Fall of Cadia. Another Primarch will turn up, or Fulgrim and the Tzeentch thing, or not Tzeentch thing, Slaaneshi thing will happen.
Yeah.
Or Khorne Demonkin. We had Death Guard. So suddenly have a World Eaters Codex or something.
So I'm expecting to see World Eaters, and I'm expecting to see Emperor's Children. Because we've got Death Guard and Thousand Suns.
Exactly. So the Codex release cycle will slow down as they slot in some of these other things that they always plan to do with the 8th edition, with the launch of 8th edition.
To sort of answer Mark's question, or to talk about codexes and rules, one of the things I think we have seen from GW over the last year, which I am so on board with, is their keenness and ability to take broken rules or abused rules, I think is probably a better way of wording it, and go, no, here's an FAQ, stop doing that.
2 massive changes. One is that they are actively interested in the rules, and if you've got any rules questions and you email them, they will email you back, or they'll address it in the FAQ. So that's one thing, and the other thing is the community engagement,
which is phenomenal.
Yeah, for a company that didn't know the internet existed.
Yeah, apart from their web store.
From a company that suddenly is aware and attending events and going to some of the big tournaments and actively talking with tournament organisers. The guys from Frontline Gaming, Reese and Frankie, they are helping playtest the rules. The guys who do I forget the other one, but there's a couple of tournament players in America who are helping them tweak
and that's massive.
Playtest rules.
I think that for me,
that's a big shift.
Take away the fact that 8th edition is a whole new edition and that we've changed the way that it works with no more formations and stuff. Formations, and we've now got detachments and stuff. Take that away. Take away the big rules changes, and actually, really, if you skim it right back, the rules aren't all that different. The 7th, you've still got a movement phase, a psychic phase, a shooting phase. There's not that much of a difference, really.
Yeah. The structure is the same, but it is completely different. Come on.
But for me, still, the biggest change is the way that they are so engaged with the community based on things like FAQs and rules as well. And that's one of the things I've seen over the last 12 months, that if they do watch this, which I doubt, if they do watch this, I really want to see that keep going. Yeah. I've seen a lot of whinging and complaining about FAQs coming out so frequently. That's something I'm never going to whinge about. I like the fact that they drop a codex, so they'll play test it, of course they will, and they'll test the rules to a tiny little audience.
Yeah.
And then you'll check it out to millions and millions of people. And say thousands of people pick up this codex and play it for 3 or 4 weeks and go, hang on, there's a fundamental problem here, a misunderstanding, a rule that doesn't quite work. I love the fact that I go, no worries, we'll fix that for you.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is really positive, and I'm so on board with that.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer Mike's question, I think that's the biggest change we've seen so far.
Is their attitude? That's
How
what
do you
you're saying,
think?
is their attitude is probably the biggest change.
How do you think things have improved or not? So improved, I think, is the
simpler.
only way. I don't think anything.
It's simpler, and simpler is better.
So the only thing I think that hasn't improved necessarily is the way in which they drop their releases, like we've just discussed. That's personal. You don't seem to think it's as much.
No. I thought so. I agree that the release cycle has been frantic, and it should have. I would, if I was in charge of the company, I'd have paced it more. I'd have had a gap between the index and the codex release, and I'd have paced it more.
Yeah, but apart from that, I think near enough everything's an improvement. Good community engagement, good rules FAQing and rules response rates. Even if you've ever had an experience, even their customer service on the web store is phenomenal now. I bought a box of stuff, and it turned out, well, I bought it from GW. I took it home, I opened it up, and there was quite bad mould lines. And they're a recent sculpt. They're a 2016, 2017 sculpt. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't look great. That looks quite bad. So I took pictures of it, and I sent it to a friend of mine and said, what do you think? Is that acceptable? Should I be okay with that, or am I not? He said, that's quite bad. He said, I would email them to GW Customer Services. Yeah. All right, okay. So I did. GW Customer Services, look at these. Just wanted to let you know, it looks like there's a bad batch. They asked me for proof of purchase and a batch number, which is on the box. Gave them that. They sent me out a brand new box. Didn't want the old one back. Just sent me out another box straight away.
They've always been pretty good at that.
That's amazing customer service. So I'm really, really impressed with the whole direction the company's changed. And let's be fair, they're chucking out free stuff to YouTube channels like yourself. Mm-hmm. They're chucking out pre-release stuff. They're chucking out free stuff to people like me who complain about mould lines, for Christ's sake. They're spending money going to events, and yet their share price has rocketed by 170%.
Yeah.
That's proof that engagement with your customer
It might
is
have been
key.
70%, not 170. I've got 70 in my brain.
Either way,
it's a lot.
Engagement with customer is key in this modern world. So that is
Do you know
a
what else
massive
they did as well? Is because they had a really good year, rather than pay, and you got net profit, right? After everything's gone out, then you've got the amount of money left in the pot. Normally, in all businesses around the world, once you've got a chunk of money left in the pot and you've paid out your bonuses and you've done all this and done all that, and that goes to shareholders as dividends, right? What they did is, because they had a really good year, they took an additional 5 million out of that pot and paid that as bonuses to everyone in the company, including the people in stores.
Yeah, that's good.
So you've got that guy in the local games workshop down your high street, and he's got an extra 100 quid bonus.
Yeah.
Because the company's done really well. They didn't have to do that.
That's cracking. My local GW, I'm based down Southampton way. My local GW in Southampton is run by a legend and the other staff.
This big evil company that loads of people complain about. They've had a really good year, and they've turned around to that guy in Southampton and said, "Here's some."
And all the staff members in Southampton are amazing as well. And the thing is, the proof's in the pudding in that shop as well. So that's a shop I've almost always used because it's my local GW. And they're staffed now on Saturdays with like 4 people in the shop because it's just packed. It's just people. And you can't move for people, and that's incredible. That means the company's doing amazing. So to answer Mike's question, near enough everything's an improvement. My only whinge is their release rate.
And more people in the hobby. More people in the hobby buying more stuff means that there's more people for you and us to play against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also you get better feedback for rules because it's a wider audience, and they're going to make more profit, which means they get more money to develop new products and stuff like that. So it's only good. It's only good stuff.
Yep.
And as long as they continue with this community interaction, they continue the way they're going, then I don't see this hobby ever dying anytime soon, like certain other hobbies have died in the past.
3D printing.
What about it?
That's a big cloud. You say, I can't see it dying anytime soon. Say everyone has a printer in their house that prints out stuff.
So that's, So knowing a little bit about 3D printing, not a lot. Having a person who I know quite well who does 3D printing. Yeah. The sort of 3D printers you and I can afford, and normal people can afford, are light years away from GW quality minis.
I know, but when you say you can't see the hobby dying anytime soon, say in 10 years' time everyone's got a 3D printer in their house, and they can print out your Imperial Guardsman or your tank or your thing.
I don't know.
You don't know.
We'll see.
It could kill it. We don't know. But what they could do then when they get to that stage is when you go on their web store and click It could be like an iTunes account where you click. And then
drawings.
for the drawing, for the thing, for the schematic, and then you press it on the button.
And as long as they continue their work with the community and with the rules and rule books, his codex, campaign books, and stuff like that.
I think that's why the IP push has been so big, because they are aware that 3D printing is a thing, and they're trying to insulate the company from further shocks.
It's good business sense, isn't it?
Yeah. Diversify the business portfolio. I think they're also trying to reach out to kids. There's that Warhammer Adventures books coming out. There's Munchkin 40k coming out.
Yeah.
So there's
going to be a trading card game.
6, 7, 8-year-old kids playing with Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar.
Oh, my little one.
And I know some people are freaking out about it, going, "Oh my god, it's grim dark. How can you have a grim?" Well, look at Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rogue One, pretty gritty. Star Wars, the Clone Wars, kids watch it. It doesn't matter.
My nipper.
The world universe is big enough for your nipper and for you.
My eldest is 5.5.
Yeah.
The last time we were in store, not the last time, the time before that, we were in store in Southampton, and he was interested.
Yeah.
He'd seen Daddy sit there building and painting models, and he wanted to buy some models.
Yeah.
This is something that would never happen. So this is something that's changed in the last 12 months. It never happened before. Easy to build, £10 box of Primera Space Marines, 3 of them. That's what he wanted. £10. It's not that much in today's money, is it really?
No.
And it's push fit models.
Yeah.
So we took that home with him. And what not only did he buy the £10 box of models, what Games Workshop then did, he's 5, was gave him a folder. It's about that big.
Yeah.
And it's got card pouches in it.
Yeah.
And in it, there's like an intro card. There's your journey begins here, and so he got his first ever one that he got given by the store manager or the shop assistant on Saturday when I went in, because he built them. So he built the 3 models, and he took pictures of them, and because they're push fit, it doesn't matter where he puts the glue; they still stick together.
Yeah.
And
you don't need glue for push fit.
Exactly, but he wanted to use the glue, and the reason why I went for push fit was because if he did get it wrong, he didn't felt like he'd failed because he pushed the model together.
Yeah.
Anyway, took pictures, took them to the store. Here's your first card for building models. Next time you've painted one, show me, and we'll give you your next card.
Yeah.
When you play the game, you get your next card. That's amazing, and he's into that now.
Yeah.
At 5.
Yeah.
So they've hooked him at 5.5 years old.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Which is.
And it's engagement. And that whole card book
fun.
and all the cards, they're free.
Yeah.
Just because he does the hobby as a kid, he can collect those cards.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. And the push fit stuff, the easy to build stuff, is stuff that didn't really exist in the past.
Yeah.
And then it's so much simpler for kids to just get involved. And like I said with the Kill Team,
I want there to be as wide an audience as possible, hook them as young as possible, diversify the portfolios as much as possible, quite simply because the more successful this company is, I continue to play with their products. If it folds in 2 years' time, I mean, seriously, a couple of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was stuff on the internet and people talking about, is Games Workshop going to fold? And people were really worried. And the rise of 3D printing that happened for the first time.
You worried about that wasp?
There's a wasp. Go away, wasp.
It's because you're sweet. You're sweet.
And if it stopped, say they were not trading now, say 8th edition never happened and they're not trading now. And like Warhammer Fantasy Battles, everything that they'd ever made had been made and would never been refreshed. Then we'd have, I want new models, I want new armies, I want them to be successful, I want as many people.
Honestly, I know the uprise of 3D printing, I know what it can do. We're even using it in our business at the moment to make parts. So 3D printing is massive in engineering. And some of the big companies, I work for Siemens, second biggest engineering company in the world. They're pushing 3D printing.
One on the International Space Station.
Yeah, they're massively pushing 3D printing.
How cool is that? When they need a widget for the thing, rather than fly a rocket up and give them the widget, then they can press the button and it makes the widget for the thing. That is
so 3D printing is incredible, and I still don't see the company dying.
No,
as long as they remain dynamic, that's the big thing. Because disruptive innovations is a thing in business. Yeah. I'm not going to get too boring on that because that's not what people are watching this for.
Yeah.
But as long as they remain dynamic, and if they do things like if they stop the models and they lean massively towards, or not stop the models, but they lean massively towards campaign books and stuff like that, because you can just buy schematics and stuff, and they'll stay successful. And the last year would show them that they are prepared to adapt and change.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
Right. I'll pause. We'll answer another question. We'll go play games.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
Sweet. We're going to answer a question now from John. So we just answered one from Mike, kind of. Mostly, I think we actually answered that one.
Yeah.
It might be a record. One question, one answer.
That was a good entry question.
Yeah.
Lots of meat to chew on there.
So the next one came from John. He said he's got a couple of questions. So we'll do the first part. How would you like to see the 40k background story advanced? Now this edition is nearly complete. Most armies now have codex. Do you think it's time for 9th edition? We've kind of touched on that second part.
It's not time for 9th edition.
No, I am not interested. So what I would like to see happen, so the reason why I tie those two questions together is because I think they kind of relate to each other. So now we've got to a stage where almost every codex is out, and they've pushed the narrative of 8th edition forward with the release of the Primaris, etc. I'm not interested in 9th edition.
No.
Not interested at all. Actually, I think 8th edition has got longevity in it. I
hope so.
I think it's probably at least a couple of years
of
8th edition.
Back in the day, they released a rulebook every 4 years.
I'd like to go back to that.
It went to 6th, 7th. Or
5th, 6th, 7th, wasn't it, I think?
5th to 6th was 4 years. 6th to 7th was 2.
7th to 8th was
2. 6th to 7th was... 6 was the introduction of D weapons.
Yeah.
And 6th to 7th was 2. 7th to 8th was 2. And it was like, what? But before then, it was 4 years. Of course, there's things in the rules that everyone wants to see change. And if you talk to a person, if you were asked a 40k player, what one rule would you change? They'd come up with rules straight away. Yeah? Cover. Boom. What one rule would you change? Oh, I'll change this. What one rule? Everyone's got something that they'd like to change. But
there's a mechanic in Kill Team that I would love to see in 40k.
The obscured cover mechanic.
No, it's to do with shooting a ranged weapon. If you're more than half the weapon's distance away,
it's -1.
It's -1.
Yeah.
I would love to see that in standard 40k.
So everyone's got some stuff that they want to do and want to see changes. We're not saying the rules are perfect and flawless. However, changing them again, no, don't change them again, please.
No, I don't. I genuinely think 8th not only could be here for the next 2 to 3 years, but people wouldn't be upset if it was. I think it's a good rule set. It's solid at the moment. There are little niggly issues with it, like cover and stuff like that, but they're niggly. And if they're going to do their big FAQ twice a year, we don't need a new edition.
Keep the core rules as they are, and that's perfect for open play, narrative play.
Yeah.
Job done. And then for all the match play stuff, well, you're going to have chapter approves once a year, every year, and that's a living rule set, right? The rules are getting tweaked and changed. Not only are there points cost changes in chapter approved, but there are rules changes, like boots on the ground.
And because of that, because of chapter approved and the way that it develops the core game for match play, I actually think that the longevity could be even longer than the previous 4 years. Because in the previous 4 years, they still had chapter approved early editions, right? First and second and maybe third edition, I think. Yeah. And then they kind of stopped all of the engagement, and then you wouldn't see an FAQ for God knows how long. So now they're actively engaging, they're actively FAQing, and 8th edition is a solid base. I don't think it just has to be 4 years. It could be longer again.
The thing that freaked me out, though, was Age of Sigmar 2, because Age of Sigmar came out, and then they released the General's Handbook. And so you thought, okay, we've got Age of Sigmar, and we've got the General's Handbook coming out every year. And then they released Age of Sigmar 2. So chapter approved doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be.
So I don't know Age of Sigmar.
9th edition.
I don't know Age of Sigmar at all. I don't know how different Age of Sigmar 2 is.
The really interesting thing about Age of Sigmar is the second General's Handbook came out along with the launch of Age of Sigmar 2. So imagine that chapter approved dropping and 9th edition.
But
I know. It's freaky.
So,
but Age of Sigmar needed a change. Right?
Okay, so
Age of Sigmar needed
that's the thing.
Change.
If they released a new rulebook, what I want to see at this stage is, I don't know, this is something I'd happily buy into. So after 2 years, for example, they could release another rulebook, and instead of just having 9th edition, have 8th edition with all the chapter approved changes in it. So it's still the same edition, essentially.
Yeah.
They could do that. I'm not saying they should or they will, but they could do that. I don't know Age of Sigmar. I don't know Age of Sigmar 2. I don't know how different the two games are. I don't know if there's a massive change or if they're similar.
They're similar, aren't they?
Yeah.
Warhammer Fantasy Battle and 40k were similar.
But when you think of the changes between 5th and 6th edition, the changes between 7th and 8th edition, they're massive mechanical changes to the game.
Yes.
And we don't need that in 8th. 8th works. It's just tweaks. That's all
a minute ago you said that that the game hadn't changed too much, and now you're saying that there's massive mechanical changes to the game.
Yeah, you just told me they did. They did change too much.
Yeah, I disagree with your earlier point.
Yeah, no. I don't.
I mean, it's a movement phase, shooting phase, and a phase.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So in that respect, it's still the same 40k that we know and love.
Yeah.
You've still got a movement phase, a psychic phase, a shooting phase, and a fight phase, essentially.
Yeah.
The way that some of those work has changed ever so slightly. Yeah. The psychic phase isn't all that much different from 7th edition.
Yeah.
The movement phase isn't all that different, apart from you advance them rather than the
I don't think 9th edition is coming anytime soon. As we talked about the shares, we talked about how successful it is. At the moment, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So from a business point of view, the senior managers up there might say, oh, this has gone really well. let's burn it all down and do a ninth. They're not gonna do that.
What I think they could do,
Please don't do
what I want them to, this is something I do want them to do, and it would cost me money buying books. This is what I would like them to do. Instead of a new codex, instead of 9th edition, none of that stuff, campaign books for the armies.
I think campaigns are going to be coming.
That's what I would like. So even if you have, and people will whinge at this, because obviously in 7th edition we had 7th edition rulebook, and you had your army book. So for example, you had your Eldar book or your Space Marine book or whatever, and then you had your supplementary book that gave you all your formations, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And certain armies, if you played Ynnari with Eldar and Harlequins and what was Dark Eldar, you had the rulebook plus the 3 codexes plus the Ynnari book plus, oh my lord, a mess, wasn't it? Let's be fair. And your Fracture, Beltan books, and all that kind of stuff. So if I'm playing with my Necrons, for argument's sake, which will be coming soon, and we just spoke about that on DZ actually for quite a while. If I take my Necrons now, I'd need my 8th edition codex, my Necron codex, and the FAQ, which is just some paper stuff in the Necron codex. I wouldn't be too unhappy if, especially if Narrative Games come in here, I bought a campaign book. Because let's be fair, as long as the campaign book remains a campaign book, you don't need to take it to tournaments. Yeah. Because it's not for tournaments, it's just a campaign book. Yeah. So to bring a campaign book here and go, here's a Necron campaign book where the Harlequins of the Dream and Shadow, who hate the Necrons, for example, because they protect the webway against the Necrons stealing all the technology. It's
going to be different though, because say there are new models with the campaign book. When you buy those models, the data sheet is in the book box.
I don't know if you need new models with the campaign books. And if just scenarios. So missions.
And that was the other bit. So if you're just using them for campaigns and for missions, then you're not. It's not like 7th edition when you had 8 books.
No, exactly.
There'll be a page open up so you can figure out what you're doing with your mates and then crack on and fight that mission rather than that mission. Yeah. But they are doing missions in chapter approved. There were missions there, you know.
Yeah, I know. I still don't own chapter approved.
Well, you've got all the match play missions, Eternal War and things, but there's also Planet Strike they dropped in.
Yeah.
And Cities of Death they dropped in.
Which is stuff actually I'd like to start giving a bash on things like DZ, because I've never played Planet Strike, never played Cities of Death. I reckon it could be a lot of fun. Yep. But if they were to bring campaign books out for a faction and they were to chuck... The other thing is they used to do...
We know campaigns are coming, right? Rise of the Primarch Part 2. This time he's taking out the trash.
So they used to do Altar of War, didn't they?
Did they?
Altar of War was a thing. And Altar of War, you used to download, or I used to download on iBooks for my faction, and it would give you 3 or 4 missions for that particular army. So I would like that sort of thing. So campaign book for Necrons, maybe 6 to 8 to 10, because you could just, the possibilities are endless. Campaign type missions for Necrons, but what I don't want them to do, which I did do sometimes in the past, I don't want them to restrict your opponent. So you are a Necron player, you must be playing a Harlequin player. I don't want to do that. I want a campaign book that you could take against anyone and play a mission. Yeah. So you're a Necron player, you've got a Necron campaign book, you would play with the 13th, the Space Marines, and we could go through a campaign in the Necron book.
Well, they did that. That's exactly what they did with Forgebane. Here's 2 armies, and here's some new models, and here's a campaign. Yeah. And did you read Forgebane? Did you read the narrative about the Blackstone? You didn't, did you?
Yes.
And it says in there, here's a campaign, and here's who fought it. However, if you don't want to go up against Necrons or AdMech, you can substitute any armies you want to.
That's the winner. That's what I think they should do.
So it's a campaign. It's got some nice narrative in it with a new MacGuffin, the Blackstone. It's got a couple of armies in it. It's got some new models in it. Yeah. And it had missions.
Yeah, that's cool. That I'm all over. Although the new model thing at this stage for campaign books for armies I wouldn't be on board with, because then you would have to take it to tournaments.
So I think we're going to see something like Forgebane happening every 6 or 12 months.
The big rumour online that I've seen is that the next one will be Space Wolves versus Orcs. Okay. That's the next Forgebane type box.
But the internet never lies. No. So that's probably true.
And I've heard that like Bella Lost Souls is gospel. Yeah. So that's coming.
You heard it here first, folks.
Honest.
Or on Bella Lost Souls, or on the internet.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a campaign.
There's plenty of spaces.
Yeah, but the Primarch Part 2, he's coming.
Is it?
There's going to be another one, isn't there?
I like to think there would be. Like we said already, I'm hoping there's going to be a World Eaters book, because Angron's a Demon Primarch now. Yeah. I'm hoping there's going to be a Emperor's Children book, because we know that Fulgrim is a Serpent Demon Primarch, don't we? Yeah. The one thing I want them to be able to do with that, however, is balance that against Imperial books. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know which Imperial Primarchs are rumoured to be alive, because I don't care about Imperial stuff that much.
The only confirmed one because they changed the narrative in the Dark Angels book, is the Lion.
Yeah.
Because we know Russ went charging off into the Eye of Terror.
We don't know he's dead, do we?
No.
So
and we
he
know
could
that
be alive.
the Khan went charging off into the Webway.
Again, don't know he's dead, so.
We know that Vulcan lives, though the Beast arises. Vulcan's story arc gets a bit confusing at the end. I'll just leave it there. But Vulcan lives, he's a perpetual, like the Emperor.
Perturabo's dead?
He's a bad guy.
Not Perturabo, who's the good guy version? Ferrus Manus.
So Sanguinius confirmed dead at
Yeah.
the end of the Horus Heresy, but they've been retconning stuff, so maybe he's not dead. Ferrus Manus had his head cut off, but
By
then
Fulgrim.
Fabius Bile was making clones of him, and maybe he's going to come back. But the ones that we think are definitely confirmed dead are Sanguinius and Ferrus Manus, and that's it. So Iron Hands and Blood Angels.
Yeah.
All the other ones are missing, presumed KIA.
Mind you, there's a
So
narrative
the only
in the Blood
one-
Angels, isn't there, where they believe that someone will be reincarnated as Sanguinius.
We had the Red Angel and all that, which might... Yeah. There's lots of stuff going on. And you're talking about the Blood Angels or Omnibus there.
Yeah, I've read that. I've read that book.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah.
Well done, yeah. He read a book. The only confirmed Primarch that we know where he is and what he's doing is the Lion. And he's... Lionel Johnson is in The Rock, right?
Yeah. He could be a really cool return. I love Dark Angels.
Well, Luther's back, and he's off getting together an army of the Fallen, which is supposed to be Legion size, not chapter size.
Do you think the Fallen will get their own book?
Cypher was on Terra, and then he escaped from the escapable place. The Fallen, yeah, I think so.
You think they get their own book?
I think Games Workshop are in the business of selling toy soldiers, and they're making new factions. This year we've seen Death Guard, brand new faction, and we've seen Custodians.
Well,
brand new faction.
Well, none of them are new factions. They exist, right?
Brand new codex with the whole
yeah,
model
exactly.
range.
Yeah, they're a new army to collect, essentially.
Yeah, so there was in 7th edition, you had a couple of Custodians, but now you've got a codex with a number of toys in it, and now you've got Death Guard with a number. There's going to be new factions. That was 2 in the last year. And new models for already existing codexes. So at that rate, there's going to be 2 brand new codexes in 2018, 2019, in the next year, and new models for existing codexes.
But they've actually, if you think about it, they've got a lot of potential, because you've got the Wild Eaters and you've got the Emperor's Children as potential. You've got the Fallen now as potential, you're saying. Mm-hmm. And the Lion, that'll be an interesting release as to how they do that, because Dark Angels currently has an 8th edition codex.
Yeah.
You've got Sisters of Silence you could do as a standalone codex, a whole new range. Yunari could be, well, I mean, they exist anyway, essentially, but I suppose.
There could be a whole new, they're different. There could be, the Fall of Cadia, the Wraith construction are different. Yes, they can add Harlequins and Cavalites and but there's something
I'm also,
new happening.
as much as I love all that stuff, I love the fact that we're potentially going to have a load of factions that anyone can collect.
The Orcs coming out of the Octarius system, different.
Yeah, so I love the fact that we're going to have that much variation, but a little whingy bitchy part of me does wish that it'd fix some of the older model ranges. So as an Eldar player, I would really like them to attack the Aspect Warriors with plastics.
They very rarely do that.
To do what they did to the Aspect, do to the Aspect Warriors what they did to Harlequins and make them a nice multi-part plastic dynamic kit. Yep. Same as Imperial Guard, right? Or Astra Militarum as they supposedly are now, Imperial Guard. When I collected Imperial Guard, when they were one of the very, very, very first factions I ever had at the age of like 13, I had Valhalla Ice Warriors, and they were the metal dudes.
Yep.
At the moment, if you don't collect Catechins or Cadians, you're knackered for plastic.
Have you read Caiaphas Cain?
No.
Because the Valhalla Ice Warriors and that, the 597th. That's brilliant stuff.
If they brought out a plastic Valhallan kit, I'd struggle to not. I have no interest in Imperial Guard. I just love the Valhallan look. It's like the almost old Russian skin hat type.
I want to expand the Militarum side of the 13th Fleet, so the 13th Militarum, and they will all look Elysian Drop Troop-esque, because we
do that.
We don't. The Militarum of the 13th Fleet would not deploy en masse with thousands of tanks and millions of things, resource, and there's not that many of them.
We need to pick a day.
They would all be elite-esque, and a high volume of Scions, and a high volume of Valkyries and Vendettas and Drop Troopers and things like that, coming in, sweeping and clearing, buggering off again. That's the 30th.
We need to pick a day where we drive to Warhammer World and you take the business card and I just push you into the Forge World store.
Yeah.
And then you buy that needs to it's going to be cool. Because it does make sense. But the problem you've got to have is you need more Militarum than you do Marines.
Yeah.
Because they should outnumber them.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't field them. You can't. Yeah.
No, you can't.
I'll get there in the end. I'll get there finally. Give it another couple of years.
Cool. Yeah, eventually. Right, I think that was... Did we answer that question as well?
I don't know. I forget what the question was.
Now I'm talking about something else. How would you like to see the background story advanced? That's something we didn't ask. And then now this is
I think we kind of touched on it. It's going to advance. There's going to be another Primarch. I think... Personally, I don't want to see another good guy Primarch for a couple of years. I want to see Angry Ron come back first. I want to see Fulgrim come back first. I want to see... I want to see...
So because you've got the
orcs... I want to up the threat even more. Push the orc threat. Push gas.
So because
push
you've
that
got...
more.
So this is what I'm expecting. And this is based on nothing but like genuinely really weak rumours. So because we're looking at it's possible we're going to have a Space Wolves Orcs Forge Bane type box set.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of expecting to see is Russ.
Yeah.
And a new Gaz model.
I hope there isn't. I hope there is no Russ, but I hope there's Primorcs. And I hope the war can...
That's amazing. Primorcs.
Primorcs are a thing. The beast arises. You know Armageddon is Alanor, right?
Yeah.
You know that?
Yes.
So...
Ultramarines Orcs, yes.
Yes. So I want to see Primorcs, and I want to see the Orcs come rampaging out of Alanor.
Okay. We do need a new Gaz model as well. A big beastie Gaz model with rules that suit the fact that he is an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Because currently he's just not.
Yeah. So when the narrative moves forward, we need these new models, and we need to see. I want to see the threat to the Imperium increase.
That's the thing as well. So when they're pushing this narrative, obviously the very first start was the Primaris push with the Chaos Incursion with things like the Death Guard. Amazing, happy with that, loved it, enjoyed it. Same with the stuff around Magnus and the Thousand Suns and all their Magnus's Resurgence, etc. So I've loved the Chaos versus Imperial stuff because I'm a big Chaos fan.
Yeah.
But now I think that they could step away from that for a minute, leave Chaos alone, and they could push the Bug threat from the Tyranids. They could push the Orc threat. Push those two, for example. That makes a really cool narrative because that is a cancer that's spreading, and there's that theory, isn't there, that one of those two races is going to rule the galaxy. The Orcs or the Tyranids, if they were to combine under one, they will be the ones that rule the galaxy.
Yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole again about what's the biggest threat and what's the strongest threat if you want to, but it's Tyranids.
Yeah, but
so
that's what I mean.
Tyranids.
They could push the narrative. They could leave the Chaos stuff alone, so the Chaos Imperial players don't need to keep up. And they can now push the... I mean, it would seem, with the Nid Codex already out and the Orc one not, that it's possible that the Orcs is the threat they're going to push. Yeah, and the Orcs is the old enemy, right? That's the great enemy. That's the one that's existed for years and years.
Well, it's just another race generated by the Eldar to fight the old wars and the old ones. So the Eldar are a biological... spiritual warp-infested weapon gone wrong. The Eldar are basically a weapon pointing at an old race.
30 minutes-ish.
The Orcs were also an old weapon pointing at an old race. These weapons did their job. The old ones are wiped out, and now they're running amok, destroying the galaxy.
It's about 30 minutes before you blame the Eldar.
Actually, not pointing at the old ones, pointing at the Necron tier. Pointing at the Necrons. It was created by the old ones to destroy the Necrons. They didn't destroy the Necrons, the Necron tiers. They're still around. They didn't destroy the Star Gods. And the Orcs and the Eldar are now rampaging around all over the place, along with the Hrad and the Jurokaro. So, I did get to the Eldar in the end. You did, yeah.
It took you about half an hour before you started blaming the Eldar again.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So I started reading some of the Necron Codex, because for those of you Warhammer fans that don't know, we've got Necrons coming super soon. We just chatted about it on DZ.
You started reading some of the Codex?
Yeah.
Did you discover some things in there, Liam?
So how can the Eldar be the ones that you blame?
What?
They were created by the Necrons.
The old ones created many things to fight the Necrons.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they created to fight the Necrons was the Eldar.
So it's the old ones' fault, not the Eldar's fault.
Yeah. But the old ones were kind enough to either lose or die or go away. The Eldar, once they'd served their purpose, just kept going until they destroyed the galaxy with the Eye of Terror and the
Yeah,
birth
and
of
the
Slaanesh.
the explosion existed in the birth of Slaanesh.
And now they're still rampaging around. And the orcs, they're a biological weapon just continually warring. And when there's nothing left for war, they will war each other, Gork versus Mork. Keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. They're the epitome of the god of war. So
they're kind of
still
cornate.
rampaging.
They're kind of cornate.
Kind of. But they're kind of, but not the same.
No.
Because
but they must feed him. They must feed Khorne. Because Khorne feeds off of death, right? He feeds off of death and destruction, essentially.
Blood for the blood gods, death, destruction, things like that. Yeah, but they exist in their own kind of eco bubble in the real world and also in the warp. So in the warp, there are two gods called Gork and Mork constantly fighting each other. And if Khorne got in the middle of them, he would have a very bad time.
And a headache.
So it's everything that the orcs believe in and manifest spiritually, emotionally, psychically feeds inwards and only inwards. Any death and destruction that spills out of what they're doing and rampaging through villages and towns, that will help Khorne.
Okay.
So probably why Khorne stays way away from them, because as long as they keep fighting, he's happy. Mind you, Khorne himself stays away from them, but Armageddon has turned into a three-way now, hasn't it, between the Imperium, the Orcs and Khorne. Khorne's in there in a big way, which he wasn't in there as big a way before 8th edition, but now he's really going for it, which
ready to unleash
is very, very corny. But if he had a brain cell in there, and let's face it, out of the 4 Chaos Gods, he's the least brainy, he would stay away. Well, Tzeentch being the most brainy and all manipulative and all being a bit, yeah? The other ones have got a plan.
I play a Khorne army, that's not very nice.
Yeah, and it's point and click that way.
Yeah.
Which is fun, it's absolutely fun to play, but he doesn't have a plan other than just kill everyone. Where Nurgle's got a plan, Tzeentch has got a plan, Slaanesh has got a plan, and you don't want to know what Slaanesh's plan, and you want to wash everything he's touched.
Yeah.
Or
might
she.
get an STD.
Yeah.
Cool. So that kind of answers that one, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
Ish.
The narrative needs to be more Xenos.
I 100% agree with that.
And the narrative needs, I would say, don't bring a good Primarch back yet. Bring Primorcs.
But what you could do...
And bring bad Primorcs.
What GW could do is they could go, right, we're going to focus on the Xenos narrative and we'll focus on the Orcs narrative and bring that up. And then we'll focus on the Nid narrative and bring that up. And then we'll focus on the Eldar narrative and bring that up. And they could just do... And that could last in 2 or 3 years.
The thing that I really would like to see is the Orc thing's happening, right? The thing I'd really like to see is I'd like to see a new race with new narrative and new threat. And
which new race? Like a completely brand new race, never heard of before.
Completely brand new race.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
That'd be interesting.
I think they can do it. They could do it easy. They did it with this. It's been so long. I mean, the Death Guard aren't a really new race. The Custodians aren't a really new race, but it's a new codex. There's something brand new happening. And it's been a long time since they did Tau, since they did Necrons, since these guys burst onto the scenes.
Okay.
But I don't think they're going to do it like they did, because back then it was suddenly, boom, here are the Necrons. It's like, whoa, where did these guys come from? Now, when they did the Custodians, they drip-fed a little bit in, say, hey, here's a taste. Do you guys like that? Oh, you guys like it. You like it, huh? You like it. You want more? You want more? that was free.
They're not drug dealers. Well, they kind of are drug dealers.
Yeah, and they did the same with... and so that's might have been what they did with the Sisters of Silence. Do you like that? Do you like that? And see how many soul sales they got with the Sisters of Silence. And if Custodians, they got 100 sales for every one of Sisters of Silence, that's probably why they pushed out the Custodians book rather than the Sisters of Silence book.
Yeah, and I think the Sisters of
Silence. So
if
there's a whole new faction coming in, they'll release something in some campaign or something with these things and go, do you like that? Do you want some more? If you want some more, just taste it. Just taste it. You get this for free. You buy this scenery and it's got these Necrons in it, and along with the Necrons and all this scenery, you get these little guys there for free. Do you like them? And then they release some more.
Cool.
If it's good.
Right.
That's what I want to see.
Not the longest video in the world, but I'm going to kill it because I want to go play games.
Okay.
I want to throw some dice and drink some
I
more
want
tea.
a cup of tea, yeah.
So that is a taster. We do this now monthly on DZTV. So if you don't know what DZTV out there isn't DZTV is an announcement.
There's one about gender.
Yeah, I know. I haven't touched that because that makes people angry. So if you don't know DZTV, there is a link just below. Deploymentzone.tv. www.deploymentzone.tv is our website. that we have built, and we have started to feed content on. It's been going for just over 2 months now, about 2.5 months, and I'm really chuffed with how it's going. And I think you're really chuffed with how it's going. So come and join us there if you want to. It is paid for content, but we want to do this really regularly, like very regularly. So this is a taste of what you get on DZHQ. The Moar Winters series, although we used to do it very regularly, it's going to be a little bit
Very
slower.
regularly.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, we did it relatively regularly.
Yeah.
There was like 7 or 8 episodes on Warhammer, yeah.
Oh.
So we won't be doing it as regularly because we're going to stick it on DZTV, but we will keep doing some every now and again to give you guys a taster. If you want to be one of the people that asks us a question, you need to be a Warhammer patron or a Winters patron or a DZ subscriber, and then you can chuck questions our way and we answer them. We just sit here like you've just seen and rabbit about it. For Warhammer specifically, we've got the Necrons coming soon. I've just started to get them painted up finally. I've got the inspiration and the sort of motivation to get them done, so that's coming. And we have started live streaming stuff. So sometimes, I say me. We is in Warhammer.
I don't know where you find the time to do that.
I just don't sleep. So I've started doing some live streaming. Some of it is showing you how I edit battle reports and stuff. Some of it is I basically play computer games. But what that is, it's a live Q&A, so people can ask me questions about 40k and I'll answer them, answer back to you. So that's free as well.
I used to play for computer games.
Yeah.
I stopped.
Okay.
Because of YouTube.
But then I can live answer 40k based questions, which is really cool, and that's free to come out to watch and interact. But what I'm doing at the moment is I'm experimenting with Twitch and streaming, and I'll link it below, because I think eventually if DZ does continue to take off, we'll look at live streaming stuff on DZ, and we were talking about podcasts and stuff like that, etc.
Will we?
Yeah.
I think you shouldn't do any live streaming. think you should focus only on painting your Necrons. Get that done.
I am focused.
And then focus on your next army, which I'm not allowed to talk about. Focus on this and that and models and...
Yeah, stuff and things and this and
work hard.
Thanks. I am whipped.
Yeah, that's me being aggressive.
Yeah.
You can blink 3 times if you want.
So, how you do it? So, anyway, to wrap this up, thanks very much to Element Games, who are our sponsor. They sponsor me, they sponsor this man, and they sponsor DZ. Those guys are wonderful. Thank you very much to all my patrons. You guys are heroes, and I really love trying to answer your questions. I think we did well today. I think we managed to answer the questions, which is different.
What's Twitch?
Twitch, don't worry about it. It would make your head explode. Twitch is where you can go and watch someone live, and then you could type them a question and they'll answer it straight away. So it's like this, but live. And Twitch is free to watch them, and it's free to follow them. What costs you money is to subscribe to them. It costs about $5 to subscribe, but if you've got Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account and have Twitch Prime, and your first subscription to any channel is free. And if you're subscribing to me, for example, I then get the money for it.
But if people want to ask me a question, they can email. And I'll answer the
You're
question.
so archaic. Honestly, what you want to do with him is stick it in a typewriter, seal it in an envelope with a wax stamp, and give it to a pigeon, and he might get back to you.
Send a letter.
Yeah, and he might get back to you.
Go on the Discord chat, the Patreon Discord chat. Send me a message.
Yeah.
I answer nearly all the questions. Direct questions, I answer nearly all of them. Some get lost in the water.
On Discord.
On Discord or email.
I do on Discord. My Discord's very busy.
If I've been working, I might not have the opportunity to look on my phone for 3 days. And so there might be like a lot. So some might drop through the cracks.
So my Discord's been quite busy. I know yours has been busy because I dropped in there for a couple of weeks post the DZ launch just to answer questions.
Yeah.
So they're busy communities, and we're trying to do that with this. We're a narrative bunch of people. We're a narrative bunch of hobby lovers. So what we also try and do is build communities so people can talk about narrative and talk about the hobby, because that's what we love. That's what we're about, really. More than this competitive tournament, everyone cheats type malarkey. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Say bye. Say bye.
Bye. Say bye.